Hey there, and welcome to NarrativeFlow. My name is Mitch. I'm the creator of NarrativeFlow. This is kind of a getting started video. That way you will be ready to jump right into the walkthrough and nothing will be confusing to you. You'll understand the interface, kind of how some things work. I'm not going to dive into every detail of the interface, just kind of show you the surface level of the interface, what each one of the buttons here do for you. It'll be really simple. This will be a shorter video, and like I said, you'll be ready to hop right into the walkthrough, part one of the walkthrough. Now you might be wondering, what in the world is NarrativeFlow? Well, whether you are an indie entrepreneur or a AAA narrative veteran, NarrativeFlow empowers you, an awesome video game narrative designer, with the tools, clarity, and creative freedom to design the video game stories you have always wanted to tell. With NarrativeFlow, you can stop writing your narrative as code. You can stop using outdated, frustrating tools and finally have creative freedom. First, let's talk about the menu bar up here, the dashboard button. This will just take you back to your narrativeflow.dev account dashboard, which is where you manage your account and launch the software that you see here, where you launch NarrativeFlow. The open button lets you load a project that you have saved to your hard drive, and save lets you save it to your hard drive. With NarrativeFlow, nothing is encrypted. Nothing is a proprietary format. You own it. You always retain full ownership with everything you create with NarrativeFlow. It belongs to you. I will never charge you royalties. You own it now and forever. Next, we've got the undo button and redo button. Those are also mapped to Control Z for undo and Control Y for redo. Next, we have the quick access button here. When you're designing your narrative, there are many things that you might have to enter multiple times. For example, a character name, the name of a region, an item name, something like that. Quick access lets you define items that contain the text that you might need to insert over and over and over again, and lets you insert them with just 2 or 3 clicks. It reduces repetition so much, it's going to save you tons of time. Next, there are variables. Most narratives have variables. You want to track choices that the player makes. Maybe you want to track a reputation or opinions that other characters or your companions might have of the player character or even of each other. The variables button here will open the variables modal where you can define those, and then you can insert them anywhere in your narrative. NarrativeFlow will track them for you automatically. Next, we've got text styles. You may want to bold certain text, italicize certain text, increase its size, decrease its size, give it a different color, or perhaps you would like to make certain text in a text box shake or give it a certain animation. In NarrativeFlow, you can define any text style you want. You can define any custom text style, and then when your game engine encounters that text style, you would define how it's displayed in your game engine. Next, we have the data table modal. In your game, you're going to have more than just conversations, right? You know how when you open your inventory and you hover over an item, there's a description of the item, or perhaps there are descriptions of your character's skills or party member skills. Perhaps there's an in-game codex. The data table is where you would enter that information. It's for all non-conversational, non-narrative data. You could put quest descriptions in here. It can contain any text you want and be styled with text styles, variables, everything. Next, we've got the compile button over here. When you are ready to export your project, your narrative that you create in NarrativeFlow, when you're ready to export it either for testing or publishing your game, you would hit the compile button rather than try and load from a saved file over there. You'd hit the compile button, and what that's going to do is it's going to cut out any information that's not needed by the game, but is needed by you when you're designing, such as notes or connector nodes that let you route links very cleanly. Compile cuts all of that out, so your engine only has what it needs and doesn't bloat your file size. Next, let's talk about the left panel here. We've got 6 tabs on the left panel. Let's start with experiences. This is kind of similar to a file explorer where you can group your experiences, your quote unquote files, into folders however you want, and you can have nested folders. So you get to organize this however it works for you. Now, what are experiences? Experiences are where you will be creating, designing your narrative chains. You're going to have nodes that connect to each other. You can have as many as you want, hundreds, thousands, and you can create multiple experiences and organize your narrative chains into different experiences. So you could have one experience for Act 1 of your game, or Act 2, or Act 3. You could group them based on a region in the world, or based on a character that you're talking to. So you could have an experience that's players' conversations with Companion 3, something like that. However you want to organize them, you get to organize them. Next, let's talk about experience nodes. But before I do, I'm going to create an experience. So let's hit new experience. Then all you do is double click on an experience to open it up in the main workspace here. You can see that we got a toolbar. I'll tell you what the toolbar does in the walkthrough videos. For now, let's go to experience nodes. And you can see here, I can enter any notes here for the currently open experience. So if I were to create a different experience, which let's actually just do that now, experience 2. And if I were to double click on it, click on experience notes, I have a whole different set of notes. If I go back to experience 1, I have my notes for the first experience that we created. Experience notes are completely optional. You do not have to use them, but they're there for your convenience if there's any note that you want associated with an experience. Next, let's talk about search and filter. The search and filter tab lets you search for any node in any of your experiences or the currently open one. So if you're trying to track down a node and you don't know where it is, perhaps you don't know which experience it's in, you can click search all experiences, and anything you type here, it will list all of the nodes that match your search field here, that match your search. There's a few more settings here. You've got node fade settings. These settings basically let you fade certain node types if you're trying to search down a certain node or only see nodes of a certain type. So for example, let's say you only wanted to show choice nodes so that you can see all the choice nodes in an experience and modify them however you want. When there are nodes that match what you're searching for, they will appear below here. There will be a button that you can click that will take you directly to that node, whether it's in the currently open experience or in a different one. Next, let's talk about node presets. This is where your node presets will live. When you are designing your narrative in NarrativeFlow, you might have certain nodes that you're finding you're entering similar data in multiple times. For example, you find yourself creating many dialogue nodes that have the same dialogue source, so the character who is talking, that have similar properties. So a VO file, a sound you want to play, an image you want to show, something like that, right? Well, rather than forcing you to enter that data over and over and over again, which most tools do, with NarrativeFlow, you can create a preset based on any already configured node, and it will show up in this list. And then with just a click of a button, it will add that node exactly as you've configured it to the currently open experience. Saves you a ton of time. Next, we've got node bookmarks. In NarrativeFlow, you can bookmark nodes to be able to return to them very quickly, or even let's say you're working in 3 different areas of your narrative at once. They kind of all connect together, and so you need to flip between them really quick. Well, by bookmarking them with just a click of a button, you can zoom directly to that node. Next, we've got problems. The awesome thing about NarrativeFlow is it will automatically scan for problems in your narrative, and it will show you either errors or warnings. Now, right now you can see that this is colored red. Red means that we have 1 or more errors in our project. We will want to fix these before we compile to test it. You don't have to fix them to test. You will certainly want to fix all errors before you compile to publish your game. Now, if there were warnings in our project, this would be colored yellow. And what's the difference between a warning and an error? Let's click on the problems tab and I'll explain the difference. So here you can see we've got a couple of settings to filter what is shown to us. I can only show errors and I can only show warnings. Right now, we only have errors. Then there's 4 settings here that let you toggle whether you want to see certain warnings or not, whether you want to hide them. Now, what's the difference between an error and a warning? An error means that there will be a problem when running your narrative in your engine. So you're going to want to fix that, or else you will run into an error during runtime or during testing. A warning is something that is technically valid. It's not an error. It's not a logical error. All it means is that there was something that was perhaps overlooked. For example, let's say you created a node and you hooked it up into your narrative chain, yet perhaps you forgot to enter any data into that node. No problem. It'll show up as a warning and say, hey, you forgot to enter some text into this choice node. That is technically valid. You may have intentionally done that for one reason or another, yet most likely it was an oversight. So NarrativeFlow is awesome. It will warn you about that. And if you did intend to do it, you can just check the relevant setting to ignore that warning, and you can safely ignore it. Warnings do not mean that there is a logical problem with your narrative. It simply means that there is a potential oversight. So don't sweat too much about warnings, and honestly, don't sweat too much about errors. All of them are pretty easy to fix, and you can check out the reference guide on the NarrativeFlow docs. Next, we've got the status bar down here, which will just tell you the node count and word count in all of your experiences that you've created, and the node count and word count in the currently open experience. Over here on the right, you can see the current version of NarrativeFlow. And as you can see, I'm recording this video directly before the release of the first public beta, which is super exciting. And I'm super, super happy to have you here and excited for all you're going to create with NarrativeFlow. Now, if you don't know a ton about NarrativeFlow, go ahead and check out narrativeflow.dev. Go ahead and go there right now, open a new tab and check it all out. It's awesome software that helps you design your narrative, no matter how simple or powerful you want it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Go ahead and hop right into the walkthrough, the part 1 of the walkthrough. Just a 3-part walkthrough. It'll be really quick, really easy, and by the end, you will be an expert at NarrativeFlow. If you're watching this on the NarrativeFlow docs, go ahead and get started right on the next part. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and check the description for part 1 of the walkthrough. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day and have fun with NarrativeFlow.